It is Thursday, and your girl has just a little bit of sewing to do. And so I figured I'm here, it's quiet, so let me pop on and see if anybody's gonna come in and keep me company. Now, if you were on yesterday's live, I was talking about an upcoming class I have this weekend. Actually, I have two classes, but I was talking about the second of the two classes because the first class is a continuation of a class that I started already with some kids. My second class is an adult class, and I am going to be making the Caravan Tote. And I figured if I'm going to be teaching absolute beginners how to sew, then I myself need to have an idea of how the pattern comes together. So I started working on mine, and this is what it looks like so far. If you are very observant, you might notice that the pocket situation is a little bit off, and that is a difference that an eighth of an inch can make when it comes to sewing. So my pocket is kind of going upwards, and I'm not going to change it because this is actually faux leather, and I didn't want to unpick and leave holes in my faux leather. And then of course I did my snaps already, and I don't want to have to figure out, how to go and replace those. So it's just gonna have to stay how it is, but I need to finish it. Class is in a couple of days, and I need to have something finished to show folks what it is we're gonna be making in class. So that is what I'm gonna be working on for the next maybe like an hour or so. Look at me looking at my watch. So I'm gonna be working on it, and I figured I would come on, see who's on, because I really need to talk, you guys. I need to talk about two shows. Hey, Patrice, welcome on in, sis. I want to talk about two shows. Like, I have been burning to talk about these two shows. One is Bridgerton. Oh, does anybody in the chat love Bridgerton as much as I do? Because I've already watched this new season like 4 times in the last week. That is insane. It has kept me company while I have been doing all the prep work for my bags. Prep work is not necessarily the most fun part of sewing. So it was nice to have, a little bit of a distraction while I was working. I don't want to say too much if anybody in the chat has not yet seen the new season and had intended to watch the new season. But if you're unbothered, then I definitely want to talk about it because, oh, it was so good. Hi there.
You busy?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm on live.
Oh, you're on 9?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Alright. I got a visit from my daddy. Just checking in to make sure I am okay. That must be a thing with Caribbean parents. I didn't go to work today, as you can clearly see. I'm actually on holiday. I didn't play hooky. But he just popped in to see if I was okay. Now, these are the straps that I want to use for my bag. This webbing is so cool because it has the smaller stripes on the one side, and then it has bigger stripes on the opposite side. I actually want the smaller stripes to be most visible for my straps. So I've just gone ahead and put my markings in, and I put them 2 1/4 inches away from my center front, and I'm just gonna base them into place. And I thought that this strap would be cool because I'm not doing it right, because of the variations of pink in the graffiti fabric up here. And I thought that these straps, I could have used a solid pink, but if I'm already going all out with the print clashing and the color mixing and all of that jazz, why not just finish it up with these really cool straps? I actually got these straps from Style Maker Fabric. I feel like they were a little bit pricey, but absolutely worthwhile. So obviously they're right sides together, so you're seeing the wrong side, my wrong side of the strap, and then when I hold up my bag, it will be this side. Is that cool? I absolutely thought this was cool. So I'm just gonna put the other one on as well, and then I can, did I mark it or can I not see? Then I can go ahead and base my straps into place. Now before I start rambling off, has anybody in this chat watched Bridgerton, or are you planning to watch Bridgerton? because I don't want to spoil it for you. But as I said, I want to talk about it so bad. So just let me know really, really quickly if I am going to ruin it for anybody else if I start talking about Bridgerton like right now. Right now. I think the instructions actually have me mark my straps at 2¼ inches, and I've marked them 2½ inches. I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal, but I didn't realize I had my gauge set to 2½ instead of 2¼ and I do now, and I'm not changing it. And no, I didn't actually sit down and read the instructions for this one. However, I did watch, there is a tutorial on right here on YouTube with this particular bag, and I watched it. It was like an hour and something long. So I was watching it to help me with my construction because I just don't enjoy reading instructions, which sounds terrible because my day job requires me to read so much. But when it comes to sewing, I'm more of let me figure it out on my own, let me wing it. Most of the times that means I'm going to make a mistake or two. But clearly your girl just does not learn. So let me get these straps basted on. So yeah, all right. Nobody talked about Bridgerton, so I am gonna start talking about Bridgerton. What the? I wanna say that this has been one of the best seasons of Bridgerton so far. I have watched all of them and I have loved watching all of them, but something about this one just felt like really just, oh, I loved it. I saw very early on in the plot, I haven't read any of the books, but I could tell very early on in the plot that this one was going to have that Cinderella theme situation going on, and that's exactly what it is. We have the rejected daughter, as it were, with Sir Bridgerton, and I mean, the episode ended with him asking her to be his mistress. Like, what? Sir, you don't ask a woman like that to be your mistress. Like, if I were alive in those times, oh my gosh. And I guess because he is noble or whatever, he can't have or he shouldn't have a serious relationship with this woman. They spent so much time talking about everybody's place. I'm like, what place? People are people. What place are you talking about? Love is love, people is people, people are people, people are people. But apparently back in the day, somebody who had noble title could not wed, could not have kids with or whatever, have a serious relationship with a maid. And I'm screaming at the television the whole time, dude, when are you going to find out that this is the woman you have been searching for? Like, if you were paying attention, you would have noticed by now. Like, how could you have not noticed? Somebody who you proclaim to be so obsessed over, you've drawn pictures of this lady, and you can't recognize her without this mask on, and the little mask was a little thing over her eyes. I'm like, dude, are you that oblivious? What is going on? So I cannot wait. I cannot wait until he finds out who she really is. And then I'm like, when he finds out who you are, I hope you give him a kick in the face. Like, go your way, sir. Like, isn't this gonna be cute, you guys? Yes. Like, go your way, sir. I wasn't good enough to be your significant other when you thought I was a maid. But when you discover that I am somebody in society's, I guess, opinion, then you're gonna want to link up. So I'm really excited about the next 4 episodes, and I'm like, Netflix, count your days, because why did you do this to us? What is it with you guys? You have us waiting like 2 years for a new season, and then when the new season drops, I still have to wait a month in between both earrings. Like, what? I'm trying to get my magnetic snaps to pull apart. Oh, Come on, come on. These are the magnetic snaps that will hold my bag shut. I know. I'm like, why can't we get all the episodes at once? Like, why? What reason is there? We waited 2 years for the season. So don't tell me it's because you didn't finish filming. Don't tell me it's because you want me to come back. Because if you had all 8 episodes, I would be watching all 8 episodes. I would be there. You wouldn't need me to come back. So I'm not sure. What? I cannot get... You guys, this is my magnetic clasp. So one is a male and one is a female. And I can't get them pull apart. I don't know what's going on. Ugh. Come on. Right. So why do I have to wait another month, a whole month, in order to see what's going on? I'm very annoyed with Netflix. We did not need that Netflix. Now, aside from Bridgerton, before I leave Bridgerton, can we talk about Violet? Oh my word. I love Violet this season. I mean, I loved her all the time, but this season, she is on her game, you guys. She's not taking any... finally. So we've got, for those of you who have never installed a magnetic clasp before in a bag, we've got the male and the female, and they're installed on different sides of the bag, and then you can actually close your bag with these snaps. So that is what I was fighting with. And these also come with little washers that look like this, and they go towards the back. So this is my bag. This is the lining of my bag. This bag has 3 panels for one side of the lining because it does have this slip pocket, and then it's just pretty plain on the other side. So I'm just going to go ahead. I don't think it matters which side I put the male or the female in. So I'm just going to, I've already put my markings and put little slits so that I can push the prongs of the clasp through. And before I put my washer on, I actually want to get a piece of felt or something. So I've got this piece of felt right here, and I'm just going to snip off a tiny piece just to reinforce where the prongs are going to go. I did not interface the lining of my bag. I'm not sure if we're meant to. I did not. I have on my bag kits though. I have gone and put a light interfacing on my bag kits, but I didn't do interfacing on my personal lining. I didn't think it was necessary. I was using a very, very stable cotton, and my outer fabric is faux leather or vinyl, one of the two. I think it's faux leather. So I just didn't bother. In an event, this is a sample. This is for me. But I did up my game, as I said, when it came to the actual bag kits for class. Everything has been interfaced outside and the inside. So as I was saying, Violet Bridgerton is on her ball for this season. I love her. I love the opening episode when she stormed in looking for Benedict. I loved it. I'm like, yes, mommy. Oh, I almost thought I made a mistake. I'm looking at my bag like, wait, do I have these on the wrong side? But I don't. I don't think I do. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the female part on now on the opposite side of the bag. So I have the male part on one side, and then the female part is going to go on the other side, and that means I will be able to close up my bag. So as I'm saying, I love how she was feeling herself. Oh my God, that last episode when she was looking at herself in the mirror, I'm like, come on, sis, that body, the little smile on her face. She probably thought to herself, damn, I still got it. Even after 8 kids, I still got it. What was she afraid of? I don't know, but I loved it, you guys. I really, really loved it. So I am waiting not so patiently for February to end so that I can catch the other 4 episodes of Bridgerton. Now, aside from Bridgerton, there was another show on Netflix that had me like this, in an absolute chokehold, you guys. And it was His and Hers. Has anybody in the chat watched His and Hers? Before I start talking, let me know if anybody else has seen it. If you plan to watch it, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But if you have seen it or you don't think you're going to watch it or you might change your mind after you hear me talking about it, I would love to know because that show, oh, very, very different from Bridgerton. Very, very different from Bridgerton. But so, so good. So good. I'm trying to find my label. I thought I pulled one of my labels to put on my bag. All of my labels, you guys, I have some in my drawer here. But all of them have like a date on it. So this one says circa 2025, and every year I update my labels by color and by date. And that means when I pull up a project, I can tell very easily when I would have made my project. And I found it. I started this way, way, way back when. So for my 2026 labels, I did purple. And it says circa 2026. So when I pull up my bag, very, very quickly, I can say, oh, I made that one back in 2026. Right. So let me talk about his and hers now because you guys, it is crazy. So it's like a thriller, but it's not scary. And I don't like scary anything. So that's a lot coming from me. But it is a thriller. And it's about a journalist who, she was married and separated from her husband. As the show goes on, you realize why. She had lost a child or whatever, her and her husband, and she didn't deal with it. She didn't handle it very well. And she moved to Atlanta, like the city. And she found out that there was a murder in her home, I guess, county. Is that what you guys call it in the States? Like your village? Here we would call it your village. But I guess up there you guys call them counties or whatever. So she found out that there was a murder in one of the smaller cities or whatever. And she went down to investigate and to report on this murder because she had lost her prime position as at her news station. She had lost the anchor position or whatever. And she was working to get it back, and so she wanted a juicy story. So she goes home to cover the murder. The murder then turns into a string of murders. And her husband is the lead investigator on the string of murders. And the first person who was murdered was the husband's mistress. So the husband had been meeting up with this lady to have get their groove on a weekly basis, and the lady turns up dead. But of course nobody knew that the husband was digging the woman. So he's investigating, and he has like a junior officer, and things are kind of shady because he's behaving a little bit weird. Obviously you were digging this woman, nobody knows that you were digging this woman, and now this woman was found dead in the woods. And then your wife comes down to report on this lady's death. And then it turns into a string of murders. And I was like, at the beginning, when I was trying to guess, like, okay, who killed this woman? I thought it was the wife. In my mind, I'm like, okay, she probably found out something and killed this woman, and then went back to Atlanta and pretended like nothing happened, or so she could have a good story to win back her position as head anchor. Mommy, oh, as I keep watching, my idea about who could have committed this murder, these murders at this point, kept changing because I'm like, wait, I was almost sure it was a wife, but I didn't think at all that it was a couple. Like, I'm married to a couple, and I know some of them can be really, really nasty, can be really, really bad, but I wasn't getting that vibe from him. I'm like, I don't think he was the one who killed his wife. Before I continue, I also got these little labels. They say handmade with love. And I'm just going to hand stitch this one on as well. So I put my label on. I could have put it on the inside of the bag, but I didn't want to. I want everybody to know that this was handmade by me. So I'm just going to put the other one probably just below. I think just below. Anyways, I didn't think the couple was the one who was killing these people. So then it turned out that all the ladies who were getting knocked off were ladies that the journalist lady went to school with. And I wouldn't call them her friends, having watched the entire thing. But I thought they had been friends. And it turns out that on her 16th birthday, this group of girls went to the woods for her 16th birthday party and drinking. They brought, how teenagers can be. So they took some alcohol and they went. And while they were in the woods, some guys showed up. Now, she said that the guys had raped one of her friends. It turns out at the end, no ma'am, the guys had actually raped her. And all of the friends stood by and watched. And these are the friends that were popping off one by one. So then again, after that discovery, I'm like, wait, it was her who killed all these people. At the very end, the very last episode, when they showed who killed all of these girls, my mouth hit the floor. I think I was in front of the TV like this for a good 5 minutes. I couldn't believe it. So throughout the show, they show her cameraman, who she is getting her groove on with. So she's banging the cameraman, and her husband was banging this dead lady. And the cameraman leads her out to his wife's parents' home. How weird is that? You are taking your mistress to your in-laws' cottage in the woods. So I'm like, wait, is it this shady man doing all of this? So she gets there, and then she realizes that the lady who stole her position as the key anchor was her friend back in high school. But the friend was fat when she was in high school. And all the other girls teased her because she was plus size. And so I guess that played on her mind, and she went and had plastic surgery. So she did not look anything like what she looked like at high school. So when she gets to the in-laws' boathouse or cottage or whatever, she then realizes that the lady who is now the head anchor at her station was that girl. So then I'm thinking, oh my God, was she the one killing everybody because they pretended to be her friends back in high school, but they teased her all the time because of her weight? And, just otherwise just not nice to her. And then they also showed a scene that said girl killed her sister when she was a teenager by going on a boat trip with her parents, but emptying the sister's inhaler. The sister was asthmatic, and she emptied all of the medication from the inhaler. So when the sister had an asthma attack on the boat and she handed up the inhaler, there was nothing there, and obviously they were out at sea and the sister died. So then I started thinking, oh my God, it was this girl. She was the one who was killing all these people. Now, in between that, they show that the journalist's mother was, up in age. She was older. And she was the person who was with the daughter when she died. So the journalist had a baby, and she left her at home with the mother, and she died. And they show this lady as weak and feeble and, walking the streets naked. She was presenting as if she had either Alzheimer's or dementia, one of those types of illnesses. While I've been talking, I have been hand sewing on my second label, so I've gone ahead and put both labels on at the front of my bag. So they showed her as this weak and feeble lady who had Alzheimer's or dementia, and everybody in the little village, oh gosh, I'm so Caribbean, the city, the county, whatever, knows this lady. She seems so incapable, you guys. When we find out that the woman killed everybody, oh my God, I could not believe it. I'm like, this woman is good, me tell you. So I'm just gonna slip the outer bag into the lining so that they're right sides together, because I do need to go in and close up my bag, and then I can birth my bag while I'm talking to you guys. So apparently, when the daughter left, because after the granddaughter died, let me talk about the serial killer's daughter. After the granddaughter died, the journalist left and went, as I told you, to big city Atlanta. She didn't go back and see her mom. I guess she was, that's something difficult to deal with. And she had left some tapes, some recordings from when she was a teenager. I guess she always wanted to be a journalist because she had like lots of recordings. You'd film yourself saying whatever's going on, and I'm reporting. And to keep the mother company, she missed her daughter. She found them in the daughter's room and she started watching the videos. She watched all of them. She saw all the girls at various settings. And then there was a recording of the 16th birthday in the woods. And the mother sat down and watched what happened to her daughter, unbeknownst to her. So when she realized that her daughter was raped by these guys in the woods, and all these other ladies who were supposedly her friends sat down and watched it happen and left the camera rolling, there was a full video of what went down. This woman started plotting and scheming the murders of all of the other, was it 4 or 5 women, to I guess avenge her daughter. And the daughter, after the whole situation, when she went back and she was trying to find out who committed the murders, and she's locked in this house with her, what do you call it, her lover boy, whatever, cameraman, and her husband rescues her, come in like a white knight on a horse and rescues her. And so she and the husband get back together. The husband had his niece, because one of the girls who the mother killed was the husband's sister, because the husband's sister was one of the girls who watched the girl getting raped back when. And so after the sister got killed, he then, I guess, became the parent or guardian or whatever for his niece. And the wife then ends up pregnant, and they go home to see the mother. And the mother has written her this letter confessing that she killed all of these people. So when the whole community feels sorry for this lady, thinking she's getting old and she lives by herself and she has dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever it is, because this lady's walking the street naked and the police are bringing her home all the time. The woman out there killing people. Listen, it was amazing. I don't even think I'm doing it justice, like talking about it, because I'm trying to remember everything that happened while I'm telling you guys. But it was so good. So good. So if you have Netflix and you are looking for something to watch, I would absolutely recommend that you watch His and Hers. It kept me guessing. And it's funny because my line of work, I'm kind of, I don't want to say trained, but my mind works in a particular way. So crime and those kind of things, I'm accustomed to like dealing with it and making assessments and judgment calls. So just watching the whole thing and just being flabbergasted the whole way through, I'm like, Chris, you know nothing. You know nothing about crime. You may as well quit your day job and go home and sew full time, which I would love to do, by the way. So I've got my inner bag stuffed inside my lining. Not my inner bag. My main bag is stuffed inside my lining. I pinned them together, right sides together. And I'm just going to go and close up the entire top of my bag so that I can bag out my bag through a little opening I left in one of my side seams. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to sew this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance right the way around the circumference of the upper bag. And I'm going to do this twice. No, I don't have to do it twice because the upper fabric is canvas fabric, whereas my lower fabric is faux leather. But I just want to make sure that I am reinforcing all the stitches at the top So for that reason, just like that, the bobbin run out. Like, it won't let me be great. I just started sewing. But thankfully, my machine lets me know bright and early that I have no bobbin, so that I'm not just stitching ear, because I would have been very upset if I had pulled out all my pins and then I had not sewn a thing. So let me just wind my bobbin. Oh, I wish I gave like a signal of when it was getting low, and then another one when it like finished altogether. But I guess that's me being greedy, because a lot of machines don't even tell you when your bobbin runs out and you're stitching ear for seams and seams, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I have no bobbin. All right, let us try this again. So I have wound my bobbin. Oh. Let me rethread my machine, and then we can start stitching once again. And as I said, I'm just going to go in and close up right the way around my bag. Has anybody in the chat ever made a bag? It is very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. But as I said, it could be worse. I could have done the entire bag and then realized I had no bobbin. So thankfully, it let me know early on, girl, you need to get your business sorted. But I was asking, has anybody in the chat ever made a bag? Is anybody here into bag making? Have you tried it before? I am curious to know. I had a tradition to make a bag every Christmas. And I started that like years ago. And like the last 2 or so Christmases, I tapered off and I did not make a bag. But then when I started thinking about what kind of classes I could offer to absolute beginners, things that people who have never sewn before and who need to work on like straight lines and stuff, I did pillowcases for the Black Sewing Network's International Sewing Day of Service. I did that with kids. But I still wanted something a little bit more exciting, I guess, than pillowcases for the adult classes. And then we were doing aprons for the other kids' classes. And I thought, hey, maybe we can do a bag. If I can find a pattern that has lots of straight lines and the construction is not so difficult, then I think that would make for a good project, because it will mean that they get familiar with sewing straight lines and with constructing things and still end up with something practical that they can take home. Now, a lot of people want to start sewing clothes, and I'm like, you guys have not even figured out how to stitch a line yet on these machines, and you want to make clothes. And if I tell you the amount of work involved in making clothes and the fitting involved, because if I'm going to teach you how to make clothes, then we're definitely going to have to talk fitting, because I do fitting adjustments for everything. And I just don't have my own space yet that I can have those kind of formal classes. And so I've set up my classes more as like socials, where, you know, you come, you sew, you hang out with other people, you drink wine, you know, that kind of thing that you can, you know, relax and learn in that kind of environment. So that is what's going to be happening for the upcoming classes. But I really need my own space so that I can actually start teaching formal classes. And so we can do clothing and we can assemble all the patterns and so on. Now, because I have these set up as socials instead of formal classes, I have done all the prep work. If you were here yesterday, you would have seen so many pieces that I had to cut out and interface and get the coordinating threads and the coordinating webbings. I did save yesterday's live, so if you're curious to see what the bag kits look like, then you can go ahead and check that out on yesterday's live. I was showing you guys like the combinations for the outer fabrics and the inner linings and the pockets and all the snaps and, you know, the webbing that I chose to go with the bags, because I'm trying to curate all of these bags so they look intentional. And we live on a very small island, and I didn't want everybody to have the same fabrics walking around, you know, that kind of way. I guess in a bigger place it wouldn't matter, but we are very, very small here, and I didn't want that. So I have handpicked all of the fabrics and the notions and the webbing and all of that, but it has been a lot of work. I also feel like sorry, I also feel like I'm getting a little bit stuffy, like mucusy. Anyways, I have gone in and I have now stitched my lining to my bag right sides together, and in my lining I have left this hole. I probably should have left a bigger hole, and I left it in the side of my lining because I need to go and bag out this bag. Now, bagging out this bag means I am going to turn this entire bag through this little hole. And I probably should have left a bigger hole. When I was looking at the video tutorial on YouTube, I think the recommended gap was like 6 or 7 inches. I didn't do that. I did a smaller gap because I'm going to have to go and close it up when I'm finished bagging this out. And I thought because I'm using faux leather that it would be a little bit more malleable and I would be able to get it through without popping my stitches. But let's see if I am actually able to do so without hearing pop. Now, when I had the first class and we did, okay, good luck at the dentist. Thanks for jumping in. When I had them stitch the top of the bag, and everybody was confused, like, well, how are we gonna get this bag right sides out? And I'm like, just you wait and see. That is the magic of sewing and bag making. We are gonna birth this bag. And they're like, birth this bag? Is this a baby? I'm like, pretty much, because we're gonna be stuffing it through this tiny hole that I told you guys to leave. That one was in the bottom of the bag. It was a different bag to this one. That one was the Pelican Tote, and this one is the Caravan Tote. So we're not doing the same bags either. Once again, it's just too small here for everybody to have the same thing. Almost there, almost there. Oh, she's through. Right, so this is my bag. So now that I have it pulled through, I really should be taking this to my iron so that I could press the lining on the top into place. I want to make sure that it is as flat as possible, but I don't have my ironing station set up here near my machine. And it's not really convenient right now. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to roll the seams with my fingers. And because my fabric is pretty lightweight, I think I can get away with doing it this way. And I'm going to pin it because I need to go and top stitch around the top of my bag. Now I could have gone and trimmed down my seam allowances right around the top as well. I did that on some of the side seams, but I didn't do it on the top of this bag because the fabric is not that thick, and I feel like it will just help to add a little bit more stability right at the top of the bag. So I'm just rolling my lining inwards so that I can top stitch right around the top of my bag, and then the lining bit doesn't peek out. Pressing really is key with sewing. If you sew, you know you spend more time at the bloody ironing board than you do at the sewing machine, because every seam has to be sewn and then pressed, sewn and then pressed. Except for if you're using things like faux leather that you can't press. Like if I put the iron on this, it would scorch it. Ask me how I know. I had made another bag way back when using this fabric. And I knew that then, but I think what had happened, boy, I think maybe I wasn't paying attention or something. And the tip of the iron just barely touched the fabric. And it was my bag that was almost already constructed. And it scorched it and left a white mark on my fabric. And I could have kicked myself. I was so mad. And I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do with this bag? It's almost done. What am I going to do with it? And I ended up using my iron on other areas of the bag and gave it a distressed look, so it looked intentional by the time I was done. But that definitely was not the vision I had in mind when I had started working on that bag. But as I said, I am one of those people who I will either figure it out and pivot, or I'm going to throw it to the side. And my girl Diana is always on me about my working projects piles, because I start something and it doesn't work out the way I think it's going to work out, and I put it to the side. Sometimes I tell myself I'll come back and do it after, I'll come back and figure it out, but then I just move on to something else and almost never come back. But that is a story for another day. So I am just rolling my lining, you guys, rolling my lining. If I was at the ironing board, I would have pressed this already and been back here to sew. But we're making it work. I really like the colors as well, so thank you. I thought this was a fun combination, and I love that this bag has a lot of seams, because it does give lots of opportunity to do some print mixing, some color mixing, or to play with stripes. What I don't love is having to cut out 8 different variations for class. That was not fun. But I do actually like this bag pattern. I think it's really, really cool. Now, I did go and put a zipper in my bag because it's a sample bag, but I am going to use this bag. And so I put the zipper on the outside, but for class we won't do zippers, because these are people who, for the most part, have never sewn before, and I didn't think it would be wise to have them fighting with a zipper. I know people who have been sewing for a long time and still hate sewing zippers. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to do that injustice to my beginner sewers, and then they don't want to come back ever and ever again. Let's do tiny doses. So I have hacked the pattern, I guess, by omitting the zipper for class. They still have the internal pocket, because pockets are important, especially in bags, but I just didn't do the outside zipper and the outside pocket. So I'm just top stitching it now. We don't want that lining rolling out, peeking out. I don't want that. Now, I'm going to have to go really, really slowly when I get to the center of the bag, because remember we put the magnetic clasp in. And the magnetic clasp is so I can close up my bag. Now, aside from doing 2 samples, this sample and the sample that I did for the last class, I am yet to sew a project for 2026, you guys. I had posted a video here on the channel sharing my, very loosely, a plan. I want to make a pussy bow blouse with the Pattern Emporium. Which one is it? Not the Lyrical. What is the other one? One of the Pattern Emporium patterns. And I was going through my fabrics and I couldn't decide which fabric I wanted to use for this blouse. And so I did post a video here on the channel asking for you guys' input about what fabric I should pair with the pattern. And I've got the votes in, and I've got the pattern printed off, and I started prepping the pattern, but I just have not been able to sew, you guys. I have been so consumed with prepping classes, teaching classes, working a full-time job, being a full-time mother and wife, and I just can't get time to sew like my own stuff. So after these 2 classes that are coming up on the weekend, I am taking a break. I know it's only February, but I am taking a break from classes because I need to get some personal sewing done. I am itching to sew, and when I listen to all my sewing friends when they're telling me the projects that they're working on, and I am low-key very, very jealous because I'm like, hey, I want to sew too. Why am I not sewing? But there just isn't enough time in the day. And teaching these classes is important to me. This has become one of my major goals for 2020. Probably the only goal I set for 2026 is to do these lessons and to spread the joy of sewing in my local community and see if I can inspire other people to actually sew. Because for the most part, people here don't sew. Look at my bag! You guys, look at my bag! Isn't it gorgeous? Come on now, come on now. Do not forget to like the live, by the way. But look, it's great. I love it. All right, so mine has a zipper. So it has a pocket for me out here. And this is what I'm omitting for my class. I didn't do this zipper and that pocket. And then we have a pocket on the outside, out here. And then we also have the slip pocket in here on the inside. I am super excited. Now the last thing I need to do is I need to find my turning hole, which is right here. And I am just going to top stitch it into place. I could slip stitch it. Like if I wanted to be really, really, really good, I could actually like hand stitch it. But I don't. I don't want to be that good today. So I am just going to fold it in. I had already kind of pressed it when I was pressing the lining. So I'm just tucking the seam allowances inwards. And I'm just going to run a very narrow line, an edge stitch of 1/8 of an inch, just to close up this gap, because I don't want anything in my bag falling through this gap and then ending up between the main bag and the lining bag. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then it will be done. Just like that, it will be done. I should have come on live, you know, when I was working on this bag. But honestly, I've been working on it on and off whenever I get a spare moment. I am not one of these people who need to have hours of free time to sew, because if I did, I would never get any sewing done. Sometimes I sew for 15 minutes. Sometimes I do 10 minutes. Sometimes it's as simple as putting in a zipper or doing some buttons or some buttonholes. Whenever I can sew, I just do whatever I can get done in the time. And it adds up very quickly. And I had been telling my friend Diana that for years. I'm like, girl, you always want to have these big spaces of time in order to sew, and then you get nothing done. And then she kept asking me, how do you make so many things? How do you make so many things? And you never have time. And I'm like, that is because I sew when I can. And it adds up. In the island, we say every drop bring no rain. So you make use of what you have, and you'll be surprised at how quickly it adds up. Now, I know Brittany J. Jones also does this Sewing 30, I think she calls it. And I think I saw her advertising, I don't know if it's like a course or something, where she was telling people how, I guess, you can utilize your time to sew. But I've been doing it this way for a long time, and it works for me. So I am just going to keep on keeping on. Right, so my bag is almost done. I am just going to go through now and clip off any of the loose threads that might be sticking out anywhere. When I'm sewing, I don't usually tidy up a lot of my loose threads until the end. I know some people like to tidy up as they sew, you clip, you sew, you clip. I usually wait until the end to see what's sticking out, and then I will go in and tidy them up. You guys, I'm really, really pleased with my bag. I'm very chuffed with it. And I'm a little bit annoyed now that my pocket isn't perfect. Ugh. And it's only because I couldn't pin my pocket into place. So I had used some magic tape because we're talking about faux leather and I didn't want any holes in my leather, as I said. So I used some magic tape to hold my pocket into place. And I'm not sure if maybe it slipped or whether I just didn't do a good job to begin with. And it was only after, when everything was done, and I'm looking at my pocket and I'm like, my pocket doesn't look even. And when I got my measuring guide or my ruler, I realized that one side was off by 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch, but yet it looks so, I guess, evident to me, or maybe it's because I was the one doing it. I don't know if other people would readily notice, but I notice, and I'm like, oh, I can't even unpick this because I've already gone and done all this top stitching, and I've already gone and put in the male and the female snaps, so we can't unpick it. And even if I hadn't done the snaps, I wouldn't be able to unpick it anyway because I don't want any holes in my faux leather. And if you've never sewn with faux leather before, this is the type of fabric where you sew on it once, that's it. Unless you don't mind having holes in your fabric. Some other fabrics, you might get tiny holes in it and then you take it to the iron and by the time you steam it, they sort of disappear. Well, this fabric is not one such fabric. If you put holes in it, you will have holes in it. So even when you're like putting it together, you would probably use wonder clips instead of pins. Or if you were using pins, you would have to be very, very sure that your pins are within the seam allowance and not the actual bag. And mine slipped somehow, you guys, or I wasn't very accurate with my measuring, and I can tell. Right, so this is my finished bag. 3-foot rule. So this is the front. Can you guys tell about the pocket, or is it because I've just been like going on and on and on about it? So this is the front of my bag, and then this is the back of my bag. So after this weekend, a couple of lovely ladies will have bags that look similar to this except for this zipper detail. And of course it has my clips on the inside that I was showing you guys how to install, and then I can just snap it shut. Now let me just grab the first sample from my first classes, so you guys can see the difference in the bags. Just a sec. Alright, so this is a sample from bag class number 1. This one is the Caravan Tote. I've got stuff in mine because I've been using it to take stuff to work. So it's got like my headphones and my computer charger and all of that. And I thought this was cute. I did make, what did I do to this bag as well? Oh, this bag also has zippers. This one has like a zippered pocket in the front and some internal pockets as well, and I hacked the pattern to remove the zippers because again I didn't think the class would be able to handle doing zippers, so I took them out. But for mine I did do like just a patch pocket on the outside on one side, and then this one has like tabs that you put the snaps on, the male and female on, and then it has an internal zipper. Now this bag actually fits my MacBook Pro as well. It's not in it at the moment, but it does. And I really, really liked this one. I thought this was nice. And then this one is definitely different, right? What am I going to do with all these bags, by the way? I don't know. Anyway, so these are my 2 bags. So I'll have my finished sample to show in class over the weekend so people can have an idea of what it is they're going to be making. So again, this one is the Caravan Tote Bag. I can't remember what the bag designer's name is right now, but if you Google Caravan Tote Bag, then you'll find it. Or if you look on Instagram, there are lots and different variations under the hashtag. And then, as I said, this one is the Caravan Tote, and this one is actually a free bag pattern. But the actual pattern has zippers, as I said, and I didn't do zippers in mine. I just did a patch pocket. All right. that's it, you guys. That is it. I finished my bag. I finished my bag. So now that I've done this, I am going to make a fresh cup of tea because mine is now cold. And then I am gonna get myself sorted to do school pickups and entertain my children and all of that. If there's a little bit of time between now and school pickup, I'm just gonna go ahead and prep some other bag kits. Let me just take you over to my dining room table so I can show you guys the kits that I have completed already. I've got 5 of them here on the table, and I need to do an additional 3. So this is what they look like. So I've gone ahead and put all the kits together, and then I've labeled each one A1, A2. So when I'm talking in class, I can say you're attaching B1 to A1, etc. And they all have this bingo card. We're going to be playing sewing bingo. And then there is a feedback form. So I'm saying thank you and asking for feedback because I am of the view that constructive criticism is really, really good because it will help me to improve my classes going forward. And then there is a little sandwich bag with the webbing, the thread, the clips, a pen for the paper, and then there's a friction pen to mark the fabric. And then of course they have 2 labels, the handmade with love and the on social label. So this is one kit. You can't even see the linings and stuff because I've already folded them up quite nicely. So again, if you're curious to see what all of the bag kits look like, then head on back to yesterday's live. But these are the ones I've already prepped. You guys helped me to choose this webbing yesterday because initially I had black, and after yesterday I was showing the people in the live and the vote was to do yellow instead of black. So there's that one, and then this one. I really, really love this color, you guys. This is the lining. This is the top contrast. And everything has been tied with coordinating ribbon as well. I feel like these little details, I hope people are into them as much as I am. This one is another kit. I was just playing with the stripes in this one because it has horizontal and vertical stripes. And then I did a lining that is similar but not the same. And then this one is just like my bag that I just showed you. But of course it's a different pattern, so it's going to look different. And I played with the stripes in this one. And then we've got like the linings and so on. So those are the kits that I have prepped so far. I need to finish the other 3. And I also need to make sure that I have everything ready for the children's class, which is just a continuation of what we've done already. So I've got their aprons that they started working on. I actually have them here with me. So it's just a matter of us finishing them up. I didn't let them take them home because I didn't want anybody to forget their apron. So we were working on doing the binding. This gave them a hard time, and I knew it would, but it was inevitable. We had to finish the arm size somehow. So next class, that's why we did 2 classes, because I knew that the kids would struggle to finish everything at once. So they're going to continue their aprons. So we're going to have to do like, you know, the hemming of the apron and then adding the webbings. But this is one of the fabrics for the aprons. I had more of this fabric. I actually bought quite a lot of this fabric, and so I used it for one of the aprons as well. And then we went with a fun bias for the edging, but of course it's going to be turned under anyway, so you won't actually see it when it's done. So we need to go and finish off the aprons for class. That's the second one. These are little girls, by the way, so these fabrics are a little bit more girly, right? So we're going to be finishing these in this weekend's class, and then moving on. Wait. Oh, here we go. Right. This is an Ankara one. Look at the stitching, you guys. Can you see these holes? I'm not sure if you can see them. She stitched way off. And I'm like, your fabric got caught. And we had to go and unpick, and they were like, oh, why do we have to unpick? I'm like, mistakes are part of sewing. And then this is the final one. And of course, I've gone ahead and handpicked all the webbing that coordinates with these fabrics. So it's just a matter of finishing them up for Saturday's class with the kiddos, and then handling the back kits with the adults on Sunday. All right, you guys, I'm finished rambling now. I am going to make myself some tea, see if I can finish off another bag kit, and then go and do pickups from school. So thank you guys so much for chilling with me. Again, a very spontaneous live today. Definitely not planned. I just figured I'm here. Let me just hop on and see what I can get done. We have been on for an hour, and I think that's great. So this has been a power hour, which has been great. I have enjoyed your company, so thank you for listening to me. Thank you for, I don't know, just chilling with me. And I will see you guys whenever I'm back. I will be back here on Sunday, God's willing, fingers crossed, with a pre-recorded video. And then today should have been the last episode in the Patterns for Your Body Type series. I have been going through the 5 different body types here on the channel. They're very, very loose guidelines, and I've been giving recommendations based on your body type. So far, we've done the rectangular body type, which I am, the hourglass, the pear, and the inverted triangle. So I have to do, is it the triangle? I think it is the last one. But instead of doing it today, I'm going to do it next week Thursday instead, because I've been here with you guys on live. So that's it. Stay calm, stay cool, stay safe, and absolutely keep sewing.